Hi everyone. This is what happened to me when I got government housing part 113. In the last video, I was telling you about some of the things that people have said to me, and I tried to explain the implications of some of those things. And there's a lot more that I could say about that, but I'm not going to at this stage because I'm going to continue with my story to tell you all what happened to me and what I did after the final court hearing where I was refused compensation. If you have watched this whole series, you'll know that I was repeatedly assaulted and suffered criminal property damage and a lot of other things that cost me thousands of dollars of my own money. You'll also know that I was treated badly by the police, the respondent's lawyer, and other people working in the justice system. And now that I've told you that I was refused compensation, I wanted to tell you about the aftermath. I wanted to tell you about what I did after I was refused compensation because this part of the story tells you the truth about what injustice really is. At the beginning of this series, I made a point of saying that it wasn't the system that was the problem, it was the people working in it, and I stand by that statement. As you know, the police labelled me a nuisance and usually refused to respond to my O calls. And the judge who heard my application for compensation actually claimed that my story was made up, saying that it was concocted, to quote him. So that begs the question why I haven't been charged. I made a lot of claims in my evidence and I told the police a lot of things, and the conclusion was that I was lying and that I shouldn't get compensation. So you have to ask yourself, why haven't I been charged with making false statements? I believe that the reason I wasn't charged is because the people working in the justice system either knew at the time or know now that I was in fact telling the truth, and that's why they haven't charged me. So I believe that proves that the system isn't that bad. If the system was as bad as people claim it is, I would be in jail. And I think the only thing that stopped me from getting put in jail is the fact that the system is okay. If it was up to the people working in the justice system, I think we all know that I would have been jailed back in 2018 when I had my hearing for compensation. So getting back to my story, on the 12th of the 6th, 2018, I applied for an advance payment of $500 on my welfare. Because of everything that happened to me and the fact that I didn't get compensation, I was normally behind in my washing and my bills. So I applied for this money so I could get my washing done and so I could wash expensive things like blankets. I don't remember everything that I spent the money on, but it was gone very quickly. When I was walking home from the laundrette, I saw an ambulance and the police waiting outside the block. And for a moment there, I thought the police were waiting to take me away. I thought that some malicious person had made another malicious complaint against me and the police were going to restrain me and put me in the ambulance and that I would be taken away from my home and my daughter. Once I got to the car park of the block, I found out that the police were there to take away one of the residents. There was a stretcher with restraints on it. And when I tried to walk past the police to my unit, they told me that I had to stay back. But I don't know why, I just couldn't go to my unit. That wasn't explained to me. This was one more time when I couldn't access my unit, like when the respondent was living at the block. And once again, I hated the police for the way they were treating me and because I didn't understand what was going on or why I wasn't allowed to walk to my unit. One of the other residents told me that the guy who was being taken away was on drugs, but claimed he didn't know why he was being taken away. The guy who was being taken away by the police was refusing to go and resisting. So the police took him against his will, and he was forcibly put into the ambulance. I believe that the police were saying that this guy had been reported to them by his GP. The police claimed that this guy's GP reported that he wanted to commit suicide, and the guy was yelling and protesting and fighting the police, saying no, he didn't. The guy who was being taken away said that he had told his GP that he wanted to get off drugs and that it was the GP who suggested that this guy commit suicide. And the GP told this guy how he could do it. I felt sorry for this guy because I have had my own experiences with that sort of thing. But I can't talk about that in this series. I didn't know whether what this guy was saying was true, but I did know that he was trying to tell the police his side of the story and that they took him away forcibly. After that guy was taken away, I stayed in the car park of the block and spoke to one of the other residents. He told me that a boyfriend of one of our neighbours had been stabbed and killed at another block, and that he thought this guy who had just been taken away was the one who had done it. But this was all hearsay at this point, and I didn't know if this was true. And I thought that if someone had been killed, then it would have been reported to the police, so hopefully the truth would come out. Then, later in the day, I found out that VCAT hadn't processed my application for a hearing to have my side fence fixed because they claimed that I hadn't filled out the application for a fee waiver properly. This meant that I had to email the application for a fee waiver to them again, and this caused more delays in getting my side fence fixed. And of course, it caused more hardship for me. And that was my day.